Welcome to Academy of Tone 192. Today's episode is a quick change because we originally planned to have Sean Athens here, but there was black ice and ice rain. The weather conditions were really bad, so I told him not to come today because he's from the Ruhrgebiet, which is at least a 3-hour travel, including some parts of Germany that are risky, like the Eifel, for the guys who know where that is. There's a lot of hills and mountains and a lot of snow, so he shouldn't go there today. The live stream with Sean will be postponed to the 21st of February. So no worries, guys. We'll have a big one in February. And today I have a quick update on many things that are on my head, in things that I'm just thinking of for next week, which will be Los Angeles, the NAMM show 2024. Is it any good? What will happen? And a lot of things to prepare. It's the time of the year where the industry meets again and where some players meet again. I still am very excited about the NAMM show. I know that some people are not that much excited anymore because the business and the show is not what it used to be in 2020, just like the one before COVID. But I'm still very happy to see all my friends, being it musicians or other colleagues from other companies. So that's one thing I want to talk about a little bit. The other thing is also, I was on tour and I played 10 concerts, and I guess if I'm correct, I played 7 out of 10 on the AMPX. And I played the first 3 on my old pedalboard. And it's a strange feeling when you leave your trustworthy pedalboard that you have been using for 10 years actually, or even longer. I used that pedalboard even before that time. Talking about 10 years, it's 10 years, almost 10 years now that I founded BluGuitar. In 2014, on the 1st of February, I signed for the BluGuitar company. Nobody back then knew that I was doing that, so this wasn't official. It was just signing that piece of paper that I founded a GmbH. I founded a company. I paid 25,000 euros to do that, to commit my, that's my commitment for the business approach. And what happened after that, February, nothing happened. But I guess it was April when there was the Frankfurt show, and I had a little stage element of exactly 1 square meter, which I put on the vintage stand, the guys from the vintage guitars. And this was the first time I was under my own flag, BluGuitar. And we had nothing. I just had 2 prototypes, and I had this 1 square meter. And we had a lot of attention back in the days, which was great because people were curious about what I was doing, not being with Using Kettner anymore. And and we had a lot of people on the booth, and I tried to start a business from scratch. There was just me and one guy that I had, Volker actually, who was my sales manager back in the days. So anything besides me was him. And we tried to get contacts for everybody, like music shops, we started from zero, from scratch, literally from scratch. So we had nothing. We had just 2 prototypes, nothing to sell, but a waiting list. Guess what? I have the feeling we are exactly at the same place 10 years after with the AMPX. It's kind of a decade, and I mean, if you look at how big the project is for me, and maybe you can feel that too because it's been postponed in a way for many times. But on the other hand, big things need time. And that's what I had to learn over the years. And what was actually happening also with AMP1 back in the days. Because in April, we had just 2 prototypes. We had a few more being built during the summer. And I think the first customers got their first amps just shortly before Christmas. And then the year after, 2015, we had the first real shipment going out. I hope we are a bit faster with the AMPX, but hey, feels very similar to the good old days of BluGuitar. Now we have a team, and the team is already working, but the project is so much bigger. If you look at the AMPX versus the AMP1, this is like, I would say at least 10 times, even more, because when you consider what it is, AMPX is so much more. And by the way, the intro song was played on the AMPX using a model of that particular Marshall here, which I kind of rediscovered through the model of that amp in the AMPX. The lamp here is broken, so even if I power it up, it doesn't work. It doesn't show, but I can show you the amp in a second. And I had that amp on my presets. I used that amp on my presets as well, besides the Mercury Edition Vintage channel. And being on stage and then switching to this other amp, I thought, man, wait a minute, there was something great about that amp. And this particular amp is, it's like a 50-watt plexi. It's a 69, built in 69, so it's not a real plexi with it has already the aluminum JMP front panel. It's a 50-watt, so it's the version, the Marshall name is 1987. And this actually has different power amp tubes, 5881s. And I used that amp a lot because I got that amp when I was maybe 20 or even earlier, in my very early days. And this amp was maybe is still one of my best Marshalls beside the JTM 45, which I bought way later. But this was the amp. And here, by the way, this is all AMPX, and I'm using, just to show you, the blue box from the AMPX. So no sound, XLR out, and this is what we have here. So that's the AMPX straight into whatever's you have here. And listen to this. There's a boost, which was the Replex boost. That's the amp by itself. This is my Replex delay. I can switch that off. So what's now this little... there's a touch of delay and there's a touch of reverb, which also comes all from the AMPX. It's basically trying to do the same thing that I have done on my pedal board with the DD2 Boss delay and the built-in reverb of the AMP1. Because you have to have a starting point. So, and now back to the tour. I was so fucking afraid not to play my trustworthy pedal board. So on the first 2 nights I couldn't do it for several reasons. Emotional reasons. Okay, I come there, new songs, everything new, and then a new amp. I'm not sure if this will work. So, and then there was kind of day 2 or day 3, and I was daring to put this on stage, and I had my trustworthy pedal board like in the reach of my hands, just in case I wouldn't be happy or something goes wrong. There was my pedal board in the closed case, but it was like just next to me. So in the worst case, it would take me whatever, a minute to make the swap back to the pedal board. So I would say I had a lot of shit in my pants. Not trying to show it, but I played. And then I noticed it actually works. It fucking works. It's not only there and it's on stage, it's loud, it's exactly what I was used with my pedal board, because I, of course, programmed a few patches to be like my original pedal board, so I feel home. And guess what I noticed? It was cleaner. Because my pedal board, even though I have a switching, our looper kit, switching in and out a few things, there is still cables and a buffer, and that's kind of gone with the AMPX. So you are on stage and it's clean, and the character is still there. So quite an experience. And it's an experience to be on stage having nothing in front of you anymore. It's like the first move when you move to an AMP1, where's your big head? Where's your trustworthy Marshall head, or using Kettner or whatever you played before an AMP1? It's a strange feeling. I have to admit that myself as well. Because we are all so emotionally loaded with what we see and hear and feel, and just by not seeing a big pedal board anymore, you get a bit nervous. Is this actually doing everything? And now, after the tour, I can say yes. And it's great. Simply, I'm so happy, I'm so relieved. This tour was the proof of concept of AMPX to me. And so for me, this was a big milestone. Even though there's only a few features on there and it's not finished, we will have more for the NAMM show. So this is what we are currently doing in the office all day before we go to the US to get more amps in there and more features, and trying not to have bugs, software bugs, which come automatically with every new feature. Because if you add something, there's new functionality, and then the code creates bugs. Nobody can do it without having bugs. So it's a two-way process, adding something, finding the bugs, and that's something, you have to trust. On tour, I tried a new software and I had some bugs, and I went back for the first one that I trusted. And it was good because I played the whole tour with that software and I was happy. And I know if there are no bugs, it works like a charm. It's like plug in, switch on, deal done. You don't even have to worry about the settings of your controls anymore. So that's the big thing for me. And besides that, I had a lot of fun with the band. For those who haven't heard it, I think we had a little snippet in the last episode, and you find a lot of the music on social media. It's a project that's called Go Music by Martin Engelin, who's the bass player in the band. And Martin does this kind of jam band for I think 20 years by now, or 25 years, for a very, very long time. And the good thing is you meet new people, and it's great to interact with other musicians. And I met a lot of new musicians on tours with That Go Music, which is you know, it's the real deal. You get to know people on tour every night, and if they are cool or if they have some special things, blah blah blah, and all that stuff happens all while you're doing the tour. And so such a tour is a multi-dimensional experience for everybody in the band. And this lineup was Tommy Fisher, the drummer that I kind of play with a lot, which is also a lot playing with me with the Rock Anarchy, so we are kind of familiar. And there was a new female singer, Stella Tonon, incredible energy on stage, fantastic performance. Yeah, so it was fun. It was big fun for us to play those 10 gigs with only one day off. And after this tour, and with the real deal conditions, I can definitely say the AMPX concept is exactly getting there where I want it to be, because it's like so small. You can travel with it. You plug it in. It simply works. So, and all the rest to me comes second. It's all blah 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 blah. If you need this and that, in the end, it's like it sounds like the real deal. It feels like the real deal, and the special changes I have done at the end of last year, like the last half year, I have still been working on the amp section, especially on the power amp saturation circuitry. We have created things that I was dreaming about my entire life to get this amp sound, and that amp is not that far off Eddie Van Halen's 1969 transformer laid down brown sound. And that's my next project, to do this correctly. And I would say, besides Eddie's original Plexi and that setup, there is no way to get really close with a modern amp. I mean, you can have great tones, but to have this authentic sizzle is something that happens in the power amp stage in conjunction with the transformers, and that kind of noise and the kind of zagging and the kind of breakup and the kind of interaction between power amp and preamp and the voltage. It's such a non-linear, chaotic effect that makes the tone so special and musically interesting, I would call that. It's a bit bright, we all know that, and this is actually what I played here as well. Watch this, I can put the master to 0. that's kind of Eddie's little brother. This is a 50 watt. And this is like now without anything, no boost, no nothing. It's just cranked everything to the max. Coming now from the AMPX at bedroom volume level or direct, like we're listening to it right now. And my dynamic IR function is not even implemented in this software version yet. And I know what that does also to the tone, but you can tell. Exciting proof of concept to me that I'm able to get the sound, feel, touch in such a detail into such a product. Okay, this was or still is my goal with AMPX, and I can and I will prove that this is possible. Something that is, in my opinion, not possible even with original tube amps, because the tube amps create the sound only if you have the same components, the same quality of components, and the same value of components, which means the tubes have to be special, the caps have to be special, which is the case by boutique amp builders. But if you have standard material, everything is over the place because the tolerances are so high, and you will never get 100% authentic tone and feel like from your original amp. And that's the tolerances in this product is way lower, so we can kind of make sure that you get what I have here as my reference. And that's part of that concept, to use a modern technology that is capable of reproducing this without any conversion to digital, without any artifacts of another technology, just all analog. And well, it's there. And for me, a long road to be able to do that. And I tried this, with like 13 tubes in that Houston Kettner Triamp back in the days, and have all the kind of features you can do to tweak the old school technology to that new limit. You're always striving for that ideal tone that you have in your heads, like what I was explaining in the last episode. And I always had this kind of, I want that ultimate blah blah plexi tone for my Strat and la la la. And it's now possible. I mean, it was already possible with AMP1, but next level is this. This brings me to a new flexibility, and that's something, if you don't need that, and you have to remind that most players, this is a one channel, no effects loop, no nothing amp, and AMP1 already is a 4-channel amp with reverb, boosts, effects loop, and options for days, even with MIDI and stuff like that. So that's a modern product, but that is already giving you that kind of feel. And of course we have the two versions. There's the Mercury and the Iridium. Whoops, there's no power here. Now it's coming. But the AMPX gets me anywhere, and this is the ultimate dream that I had for years, and now it's getting real. And the reason why I'm so late is because I don't stop before it's right, period. This is like the thing that needs to be done right. Otherwise it's just, I would say, a little bit offensive, just like a modeler. And well, modular can be cool products because they can do so many things. But in my world, the pure analog approach brings me that extra feel and that extra little nuance in tone that I am addicted to. If you don't hear it, I'm happy for you guys. You have a great tone with whatever you play because it makes you happy. For me is, I wouldn't be happy with such products. I could play them, but I would have to work a bit harder to get to what I'm, and this, you know, this tone, just that one note, is everything is in that one note. I can, I could spend the rest of my life just with that one sound. But I have to admit, I'm not such a purist. I love to play around with effects and stuff. And this is what I have here. There's my replex. Yeah, and here is, for instance, my replex boost. So this would just be the delay section of the replex, but the replex has a tube, it's a tube tape echo, and that tube is simulated here with the boost. Yeah, it's all, yeah. Yeah. The tone to me, this is what I was always looking for. And I was torturing my good friend from Dreist here. Back in the days in when was this? 1990s. Is there a year on this CD? I don't know. Maybe there is, I think 1990s. Ah, here it says 1997. We've done this CD, and you can see me. So this is good old BluGuitar. I don't know if you can see that, but this is me in front of a do we get it sharp? With a white shirt in front of a 4x12 with exactly this Marshall here, still smoking. Who cares? Anyway, this was me back in the days. Pete, the singer, was yelling at me because I had no power soak. I just went for it. This amp fully cranked, way too loud. Perfect on open air stages, but way too loud in the small clubs, venues where we played. But this was exactly what we had on this record, and was exactly what I had on stage. And then I went next generation because I learned that was the puristic approach, but not very practical. And then I went for the Houston Kettner Triumph, which was a good solution back in the days. Now I have AMP1, which is replacing, or yeah, it's replacing my Hughes & Kettner Triumph for the last 10 years, because this is when I had my first AMP1 in my hands, and now I move on to this. Yeah. Okay, anyway, that's, yeah. Talking about Hughes & Kettner, they celebrate their 40th company anniversary, I guess. I've seen they have a big booth at NEM, way bigger than ours. And I have seen a few of the history videos, snippets that they have done, and I think 80% of all the stuff that is in there, I was involved, or it was my creation, which makes me a little bit proud. So if you deduct the last 10 years that I had with BluGuitar, it was 30 years with them. Not a bad time. We had great times, but I think I move on to write my own history here. And when I'm doing my 40th year with BluGuitar, let's talk again. Anyway, all good. So before we can, maybe we can check more amps here. Let me switch off the direct out of the AMPX. No, now muted on the mixer here. I go back for the blue box, and if I'm there is that sound. Wait a minute. Get rid of that. This is this beautiful old Marshall. Okay, and there's my AMPX. It has a little bit of effects here. I'm talking about the like post effect that I have done, but it's like I can switch that off actually, effects, and yeah. Now it's only the reverb. Does it work to switch it back on? No, it doesn't work yet. Now it works. See, this is a so-called software bug. And we have tons of these. But trust me, that's my job and some other people's job for the beta testing phase and optimizing the whole thing. And it's worth the wait, because you don't want to be fucked up on stage. So please be patient, it's worth the wait. That's the real deal. And it's fantastic, because it cleans up, it has the but you heard the AMPX, and it's like doing totally the same thing. I did the A/B. I come to the same thing if I'm set everything a 1-to-1. It's unbelievable. And as you could hear it, I can play it any volume. This fellow will lose a lot of its character when it's tamed with the wattage with the power soak. And this not, because we recreate the best condition of that amp at any volume. I was dreaming of that my whole entire life because there's the tone and now comes the practicability. The same thing with amp 1 and the power soak and things like that. Okay. Yeah, that's the Marshall. Okay, switch off because has done its job to be a great reference, and we take that to the next level. There's another nice amp in my collection that's recently just returned, and I had no time to have a look into that. And this is my 64 Fender Bassman, which is not switched on. Wait a minute, where are we? Oops, hot tubes. So this is standby. So this is a 1964 Fender Bassman. Yeah, it's a classic. It's not a 59. 59 would be the holy grail. I will get one of those one day. They're just too expensive right now. They go for crazy money, which is, I don't know, not. I'm not willing to spend this much money for amps that I like, but will I actually play them? I will probably make a blueprint of that amp and put it in my AMPX and then play it. That's the way to do it for me. Yeah, this amp I had modified for some time, and then I thought, oh, you know what, let's get it back to some Ted Nugent. I see Giffy Moroder. So what have I done with this amp? I'm actually jumpering the two channels because the bass is too bassy and the normal is maybe a little bit too bright on that channel. So I kind of like the combination of the two channels. And I gave that amp to Captain from the Guitar Lounge in Fürstenfeldbruck. Nice guy, vintage shop, makes his own amps, guitars and all this stuff. Because I told him, hey, I have no time. Bring it back to original and make the best version out of it by doing that. So, and I'm not the biggest Fender expert, and he's probably more than I am. So that's what he has done to my amp, which is great. It has that Fender. Yeah, this is pretty cranked already. Most people would have it set to lower settings to be cleaner, but I'm the kind of guy that uses the volume control here. It sounds very cool on lower settings here. Yeah, so that's Blackface 1964 Fender Bassman. And here we have, oh, did I changed a lot? Let me see. That's kind of my amp1 version of that Bassman amp. What did I do? I used the vintage channel and I reduced the gain with the one control to like 2 o'clock. The master is all the way up and the power is like 60 watts because this is what that amp probably produces too. So these amps, they all create their tone from the power amp stage, and that's the interesting part. Oh, okay, yeah, this amp has a noise gate, and now it's dead quiet. I love it. So if you try to replicate one of these amps, you have to start kind of backwards. You have to start from the power amp stage, and then dial in the preamp EQ and saturation. But if you don't have that kind of power limit, like an equal saturation in the power amp stage, that wall you're always pushing against, it's never the same feel, and it's never, you don't get the tone because it's a wrong foundation. For such an amp, the wattage and the breakup point in the power amp stage is my starting point. And then you dial in the rest. And that's the difference, by the way, between very many Fender amps. They simply have a different output transformer, different output tubes, and the preamp section is not that different most of the time, okay? And the biggest difference you can hear is also the speaker and the size of the housing. But again, that's not a preamp EQ thing. It's more, the power amp thing. If I'm talking the electronics, and of course the speaker and housing. But I keep that the same. So we are comparing two amps at the same speaker, because that's what I can do. And yeah, anyway, Bassman amp1. We can get close there. So Guys, do we have questions? Or let me see what I have on my agenda here before we go to the Q&A and question kind of things. There's a few things that I want kind of to announce. Next week's NAMM, it's, well, BluGuitar is having a small but beautiful booth at the entrance of the guitar hall. If you come from, what is it, C to D, on the left side, we are just at the beginning of the hall, 5810. If some of you guys watch it, visit me or us at booth 5810. I will do a concert jam thing with Ronnie Lee and a lot of other great musicians the day before the first day, on the 24th, I guess that is. The place is called the Fifth, and it's the rooftop jam over there. I've done the whole thing last year as well, which was fun. So we do it again. We have it's a full evening, I don't know, of 3 hours music on a rooftop, beautiful place. Yeah, if you want to check out my social media for information, or maybe you put it in the comment here. It's called the Fifth, and it is Anaheim, Disney Drive or anything of that. You know, one very, very famous place there. So that's, I guess, wait a minute, I have a phone and I have a calendar that I can look it up, because it's these days everything is my phone. So 25th on Thursday, yeah. Or it's the 24th. Fuck, I don't know. Lucas, do you know? Let me see. I'm sure I have tons of emails. So rooftop, moment. Here, 24th. Okay, that's the day. And set list is huge. Music starts 6:20 p.m. The jam starts 6:40 and the music stops at 11 p.m. Okay, this is American style. I love this. Load in, everything is planned. Everybody should know what to do. Yeah, and I will bring my AMPX, I will bring AMP1, and there will be a Soldano, and there will be a drum kit and bass gear. Yeah, I can read all that stuff, but I know there's a Soldano for the second guitar player. Yeah, and we make tons of changeovers with different guitar players and singers and drummers and whatnot. It's a big thing, it's nice. So that's the 24th. And then on that Saturday, I'll do something. Saturday is 27th. I'll do the Marriott Jam. There's Neil Turbin, there's tons of great American guys. Yeah, just that's evening, I guess. Again, 7 or 8 p.m. at the Marriott, which is just outside the exhibition hall. There is the Hilton, and just across the Hilton there's the Marriott, and in the main lobby there is this jam. Yeah, I don't know what else will happen, but you know how it is, there's always things going on. So if you guys are somewhere in the area, come and see us at the booth, at the jam, or wherever you want to, yeah, where you have the options to. Okay, then I have another nice little topic that I was stumbling across, which was after the NAMM I will meet and stay at my friend's place. His name is Gunnar Larsson. He is originally from Germany. I met him in Hamburg when I was living in Hamburg, like in the 2000s, early 2000s, for a while. And he then moved to Los Angeles, and he lives there since that time. So it must be 20 years, or maybe, yeah, 20 plus years. I don't even remember, 24, yeah, something like that. And he asked me to bring certain things that he is missing in the US. And this is what I was on his wish list. That's bizarre. Do you know what this is? Natron? Well, I don't know what he's doing with that. It's they have a nice hashtag Kaiser Hex. So yeah, that's a weird thing. He's probably cleaning something with that. And the thing about Gunnar is he has a studio, a recording studio, so I can use that for recording stuff, and or maybe video. If maybe we do a live stream there, I don't know. We will see. It's kind of near downtown LA, in Beverly Hills. Very nice location. He is also a great guitar teacher. So if you want to get some lessons and you are from LA, his website, I think his email address is laguitarteacher.com, or his website, whatever. So next thing we are talking cleaning is a special toothpaste. Oh, the other way around. Meridol. Okay, I know the Americans have Colgate or whatever it's called. We have the same stuff here too, Colgate, a lot of Americans. But it seems like they don't have that, because that's what he is asking me to bring with him. Another thing which is also a killer, in German it's called Marzipan. Marzipan, it's kind of almond paste, almonds, like nuts, almonds, and then the Germans put that in kind of a bread shape and have it covered with some kind of chocolate, or milk chocolate or dark chocolate or whatnot. Yeah, he loves that stuff, and for some reason he couldn't find this classic German traditional stuff in the US. And yeah, there are certain things that are killer in certain countries. If you have stuff that you would be missing in the States, let us know in the comments, because I find this quite interesting. The other thing is, it also works vice versa. If you come from the States to Germany, you will find some different things, and you won't find certain products which you have totally natural in the US. And we all have our favorites. Ja, Lübecker Marzipan ist geil. I can see that. Comment, it's cool. Ja, genau. Ja, die 61 Bratwurst säubern. I know this is a bratwurst. Yeah, my guitar is a bratwurst, but it's not the worst. It's a pretty cool guitar. I think the Natron is you can do Schweinereien with it. Okay, whatever. That's I'm not the insider in all that stuff, but it's funny to have certain things you get only in Germany or only in the US or only in Italy. And yeah, that's, I think this was Luca's comment. Good bread is hard to find over there. Yes, I personally think good German style bread is very hard to find anywhere outside of Germany. I'm so happy with my personal bread. It's so good. I don't need nothing. I just need that bread and maybe a little butter on top of it, and that's such a rich taste. And guess what? The secret of my bread is, I heard that the bakery is putting some beer in it. So just a touch, just to give it a malty flavor, stuff like that. And it has a crusty outside and a softer inside. And the quality of the bread, you can tell. I can have it for almost a week and it doesn't dries up. If it's processed food, usually it dries fast and stuff like that. And this is all good old standard, old school style, and it simply tastes the same for a couple of days. Of course, it's the best when it's totally fresh. That's the peak you can get from your bread. But then there's a long time where it stays cool, and then it's getting too hard. Aha, somebody says, come to Switzerland to taste good bread. Yeah, well, I think that's true. And there is something about, what is it called? The wheat bread, the white bread, like French baguette. That can be very nice too. It's a different style of bread. And yeah, we have certain things like that, which the place where I was living before I moved here a couple of years ago was even closer to the French border, and my bakery there had the best baguette ever, because they kind of combined the French baguette thing and put some German extras to it, whatever, in the process. And I think this was killing any baguette I have seen. It's still the winner. I have to go there and buy one again just to prove that. But I remember people coming to visit me from whatever, Berlin. They were freaking out. Even people, I remember there were people coming from Steinberg, the software guys, and Native Instruments, for instance. And now I just think of software guys. And we had a discussion in my living room, and they all disappeared to the kitchen, because I told them, yeah, you can help yourself with the bread that is there. And one of the guys disappeared to the kitchen and enjoyed a slice of bread, just of that. And then the next guy disappeared, and they were not on the toilet. I could see the result in the shrunken bread. It was that good. And by the way, Guitar Rig, I think it's called, by Native Instruments. They have also one of my 50-watt plexis, not this one. I didn't give them the best one. I gave them the second best one, which is now in Peter Weier's studio for a while, or somewhere I gave it to. But it will come back. And that amp of mine is in the Guitar Rig, whatever. It's the 50-watt plexi in there. That's my amp. And by the way, I also worked on the Cubase guitar modeling things. And there is not a specific amp, but yeah, I've done that as well. Back to food. Brot und Butter der Gitarristen, bitte. Okay, you want to go back for bread and butter for the guitar players. Hey guys, now ask me questions. I haven't seen the. I can read some of the comments, but I need questions. Do we have earlier questions? What is power drive for AMPX? Yeah, power drive here on the AMPX X is actually the control that will add what I get from a hot driven amp, and I want to have a control for that. So if I have a model of a certain amp with gain and volume, I also want to have that kind of density from the power amp stage. This is what you get when you crank one of those. And for me, that's an essential thing in a guitar sound. The power amp drive, is it driven hot or rather cold? And the other thing is, that's why I have the boost control here. That's kind of the front end. No? Do I want to load or boost the front end, or do I want to load or boost the power amp, which is the end of the amplifier? And both kind of thing to have direct and easy access to for the little fine tweaking is what is helpful. So I will assign these according to the amp that I'm recreating or modeling, so to speak. But to make it clear, in our world, it's all analog. It's not digital modeling. It's an analog circuitry, digitally controlled. Very important. That is the big difference. I had a guy the other day that said, AMPX, it's old school. We had the PV Viper that is the same like AMPX. No, it's not. The PV Viper is a modeling amp, all digital, with a tube power amp stage. And the signal path is not all analog. This is all analog. And there is a difference. I wouldn't spend this much time to do such a project if it wouldn't be such a big difference. And I wouldn't do anything that already exists on this planet, because there are bigger companies like PV, like blah, 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 and Fender. They would simply wipe me away with their money and whatever power they have. They have many power, many things that I cannot offer. I have to do special things that don't exist, and therefore it doesn't matter if AMPX takes half a year longer or even extra months, because there is nobody going down that road. Even companies that try to copy BluGuitar, we've seen the Blackstar amped one, they are using, even if they copy stuff, they're still using different things. For example, their power amp drive is not existing. They have a power amp selector switch for different type of tubes. There's 606 and EL34s and whatnot, all good. And what they are doing is they model it with an IR. So they have a frequency response curve that they get from tubes, which is actually not the case. If you would measure that, the EQ range would be rather flat and not EQ'd. So this is kind of a flavor that it's put on top of the sound in the digital domain, using conversion to get from the analog side into the digital side, and then conversion to get from the digital to the analog side again, adding latency. And they're doing this in the power amp stage, and they're doing the same thing with another two conversions in the preamp stage. I would never do this AMP1 is totally puristic. So, you know, guys, if you want to argue about this takes too long and somebody else is doing the same thing and will copy it in a month, I'm very, very confident that it's not possible, because X means 10, and 10 years is what is invested with the team into this product. And it needs an AMP1 to come first, and it needs all the steps to get there. So there is no other company. There will be companies that will combine a let's call it multi-effects modeling device with a power amp stage. I mean, it's so obvious. And then it will be fucking cheap because you have your Ampero and it's not bad. And you will put some Class D power amp to it, and then they will have marketing and will say, yeah, this is the best thing you've ever heard, and I have the Plexi as can be. But trust me, it will never, never be at this kind of level. If it would be that simple, I would be out of business in a day. And then I would do something totally different. I'm not stupid spending all my money, all my time, everything just for something anybody else could do. Okay? So if there are some comments out there, send them to me. But I'm totally relaxed, because I know what we have done and where we are in our heads. I'm not saying other people are stupid. No, they do other things and they also do brilliant designs, but not in this direction. And therefore, even though if we offer similar features like different amps, different effects, and we can all combine them and we can store them, and if it looks like it would be the same for the user, it's totally different from what is behind the knobs. All the knobs here are digitally controlling an analog circuitry. And it would be way easier just to do modeling like I have done with Houston Kettner in 2000, 22 years ago with Zentera. I've been there. And if that would be the best result, I would have gone down that road. I would have done a modeling amp. But I made the experience by doing that I would miss something. I'm not saying these products are bad, no, but there is something missing that I want. And therefore, I have to start from scratch and going a totally different path. And this is, if you go through the jungle with your own mindset and where nobody else has ever been before, you have to develop a lot of things from scratch. And that's what we've done and others haven't. And it's not easy to copy that because, yeah, of course, people can reverse engineer things, but this is so complex. They would do 10% here and 20 there, and there would still be a lot of things missing. Yeah. Okay, questions. Kannst du den Power so und das wah zeigen? Wah, I had a wah working. It will be at NAMM, yes. Because here is another thing. All the controllers that are here, including the wah and the controller, they have a communication, and we just increase the speed of the communication to make all the controls faster and smoother, just like more analog. Okay, so we are working on all that. More question. Wie groß ist die Tasche vom AMPX? Das war X-Wings beim Kauf dazu. The question here in English is, what's the size of the carrying case for AMPX, and will the wah fit to that as well? The carrying case that is shipped with the AMPX is big enough for the AMPX and cables, not for the extra controller pedal, which is under construction. We do our own thing. we are not using pots, we are using magnetics, which will have no wear. I mean, every potentiometer, you know, the analog wah-wahs, after a while, so we have magnetic, which will be totally stable for ages and will hopefully never fail. That's the idea behind it. It's still under construction. So this is an expansion thing for the AMPX, and you can have actually two. But this is, yeah. And the carrying bag that the AMPX comes with is not big enough to have that, because I don't know how many extensions you want to have. We might offer something in the future, but it will come with a case, and trust me, it's so good to have so little. And I know all you guys, you go and think, I have a wah-wah. I played a tour, I didn't have the wah-wah, and actually, you know what? I was not even missing it. I will have a wah-wah one day again, because I like to play with toys. That's all okay, but that works. Yeah, and for me, it's important to get to the stage where I really use the product and where I really know what I want and why I want it. It's not a theory thing. It's more like this is what I really do, and I will monitor that from people using that once it's out, and then make plans for the next step, and maybe we have a special carrying case, because these days you build your own pedal board and it's custom made and blah 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 because of sizes and stuff like that, and who knows where this ends in the hands of other people, and how much extension 10 years, extraordinary, more words with X if you remember something, excited, will excite us, and what we have as a case. Here we have question, external IR loader or how many slots? AMPX features 5 slots for IRs being processed simultaneously, which means 5 blue boxes running at the same time, and you can load in your own IRs. So the topic of IRs is pretty boring. We can assign those to the stereo outs, then you have a collection of 5 cabinets and you can blah blah blah. I'm working on this. This is what I'm doing kind of now and in the next weeks, months. Which knobs are programmable and which not? Well, any of these knobs are programmable besides the master, put it that way. So everything is programmable, but everything is still straight accessible. And as we can see, I'm now in the delay mode, and these X controls here, they give me direct access to the function of the delay. If I go to the boost, it changes for the reflect boost. I have a gain and I have a volume, no? Which is the same knobs like on the original reflex, no? And it goes back for the delay when I'm in the delay. So this is kind of your pedal controls. Like if you had a pedal, it's pretty intuitive, no? You can access everything pretty fast, and everything can be programmed. So that is the answer to that question. Is there headphone out in the blue box? Then there is probably one in AMPX. Yeah, there's your headphone out. Here, it's a little 3.5 millimeter headphone out that I used in the apartment, and it actually works. It sounds pretty good, especially because there's tons of effects. And there's an auxiliary in for the guys that want to play the blues with a backing track. Still got the blues for you. More questions. Tremolo effects, yeah, we'll have even biased tremolos. Und wie speichert man die Effekte ab App? Well, you just dial in whatever you have, and then you press the learn button and you store it to your preset. And there will also be a mode for Stompbox mode, similar to what I have done here on this switch. This is my replex on, and there is a second setting of the replex with a lower volume. This is how I like to hit it. And if I hit that long, that is now a tuner. And the tuner, wait a minute, where is AMPX? I think I have to go here. No, I can see the tuner. I can even see with the here with the foot controller. Yeah, and maybe you can hear that it's still a bit noisy, and the mute is not on yet. There will be an option of no sound and la la la. Hey guys, this is what I'm doing right now. Expensive, I love it. Marcel Huber, yeah. I'm proud that this product is maybe expensive, but it's not expensive for what it is. I put so much money into it. It will take me years to recover. Cheers. So it's relative what is expensive. And if you get the same in other ways, it's even more expensive. Yes, and the talent booster is included. I love talent boosters because it's my initials, TB, talent booster, Thomas Blug's talent booster. I should make a pedal out of that with like 16 modes, just like a blue box. Talent boost for jazz. Well, there's not so much I can offer, but at least you can dial in a few percent, and then talent for different styles. No, boost, you select the style and then you increase your talent. Alcohol is not included in the case. No, I doubt so. Alcohol is... Hey guys, if you are gigging, there's a bar next to you because there's no live concert without alcohol. I know that from being on tour, and I'm not drinking much, honestly. And I actually discovered that I enjoy my beer for the concert and maybe 2, and I sweat and then maybe 3 after one afterwards. But then the other day I was just drinking water and I actually felt better. I think I'm getting old, but the taste of beer was so good I went back for beer. Nice experiment. Can AMPX do JCM 800? Of course it can. And we already have had a very special 800 in the house from Euge Valuvirta. And yeah, we have measured it, and this will be one of those additional blueprints, we call them, that you can download from our MyAmpX website. And for this amp you have to pay something because Euge gets the money for it, which is totally fair. And we have kind of to redesign this amp on this platform AMPX. So it's not like I do a profile like a camper and you can do it yourself. No, we have to spend actually days and weeks to get a specific amp in here, and therefore we have to charge some money. Franconia has the best bread. Cool. Helmut. Probably, yes, we can. We should have the bread competition one day, and then we do the beer competition, and then we make the amp competition. Somebody asked for more guitar-related stuff. But for me, it all goes together because it's pleasing our senses. Does it sound good? Does it taste good? Does it feel good? And maybe some people don't enjoy that, but I can. I mean, I can be super delighted by a good meal. I can still live with pommes, French fries, that is in German, and the Bratwurst, and Pommes Schranke when you play the Ruhrgebiet. or Schnieposa, Schnitzel, pommes and salad. Schnitzel, everybody knows, which is nothing special. If it's good, it's okay. But I can live with that, and I can also play a Boss Katana amp, and I can still make music. But I do enjoy the real deal. This is what I'm here for. I feel like I enjoy being the chef of amps. That's what I'm doing. And I'm happy when I created something that sounds and feels good. And I don't mind to have an ordinary amp once in a while. It actually helps to readjust your senses so you know, wow, no? Now I know what this is all about, why I do all this. Ollie, no, at Ollie, one control is not necessary for AMPX. It's all, this is a separate platform. It starts from scratch using some parts of that, but when we go into details, this will be endless. I will probably do some more live stream when it's closer to release, explaining what's under the hood and what's actually going on there. It's exciting for the guys who love tech talk, and it's probably also interesting to understand a little bit, because honestly it is so new coming from this, and there's nothing wrong about these amps for their tone, but then even an amp 1 is so different from a technological point of view. Switch mode power supply, the nano tube, the way how it's designed. But this is kind of it still has some similarities in the way the schematics work, even though we are using totally different components and sometimes get similar or the same effects with different circuitries. But this is kind of that circuitry that still is in the spirit of the original circuitry. This circuitry here is so flexible that it at the beginning has no spirit. It is just a circuitry. But then, with all the parameters and the digital controls, only controls, we can mold it into a circuitry that creates that sound, or any sound. And that's, from a technological point of view, a totally different approach to guitar amplifiers. Because so far, a guitar amplifier was basically something that made it louder with a tone stack that was giving it a certain EQ character, and then a few components like tubes that you could drive into saturation. And there was a power amp stage that could saturate, and there was some preamp stage that could be saturated. And maybe there was a cascaded gain stage for more saturation, or a dedicated gain stage with some tweaked saturation. But it all was only with the sound of the EQ. Some multi-channel amps had several EQs, and the switch for mid-focus on angle amps or whatnot, just for an example. But that's all that old school design, just taking to the next level, making the same circuitry a little bit more flexible, but it's still the same circuitry. Amp 1 already is slightly different because we only have one tone control for all the 4 channels and get the character that we usually get from this tone stack, from the tone control, already in each of the channels. And then we have the tweaking with the custom controls. That's already, I don't know any other product that actually works like that, having a master EQ only. Different, just different. But it's very practical, because once you go to the venue and you have set your sounds that they match, you simply dial in a touch less treble because it's too harsh, and that's done. I see another one. Explosion. Yeah, I'm waiting. This was actually something I was waiting for on the whole tour, that this thing explodes, having like white clouds of smoke coming out, but it didn't. It was super stable. Yeah, and this gives me a lot of confidence that it actually works. It actually works. Okay, any more comments? Will the triple power amp version be available for wet, dry, wet M3? That's on my wish list. This is stuff that we can do after we have released that. And then, we have all this beautiful technology. It's stuff on my wish list. Richard Bradley. I'm taking my JCM 900 from 96 back to Milton Keynes for a service next week. Hope. I've been to the Marshall factory. Yes, sure. I want to see the pictures. Here we go. This is quite a long time ago, so I have to go back. 2017. Was it 17 or was it later? It was, let me show you. No, the Marshall factory is a cool thing if you have the chance. See, this was my UK trip, meeting people. What's this guy? He played for Marius Müller-Westernhagen here in Germany. Jay Stapley, yeah. He made it big in Germany, but he moved back to the UK. Jay Stapley, this was at Peach Guitars, by the way. And somewhere here I was, this is Mick Taylor and that pedal show. When we did a pedal show thing, I was filming then, and there's my amp1, blah, blah, blah. Where's the Milton Keynes factory tour? I've been there. It's fantastic. You have to do it. You know what's even better? Watch this. This is really good. That's me. Can you make it big? That's me at the age of, I don't know, 10 or 11 with my first homemade, homemade stereo system. This was a Bose copy of the 901 system. This was even before I played the guitar. Me, the young boy there, and I had built my own hi-fi. I was a big fan, and Charles Bronson, if you're young, you like heroes. So, yeah, come here. Look at this, young Thomas, very young Thomas. That was the age when I started with a soldering iron, and then I came to the music. Yeah, and that's my Fender Inside, and tons of photos here and there. Yeah. Because I couldn't find the Marshall tour. Then maybe it was a year before, 17. Ding, ding. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, Lucas has found it. See, this is when you go upstairs from the entrance at the Milton Keynes factory. This is what you see. And I'm leaning on a very early JTM 45, which is one of the most iconic amps in amp history. And as everybody knows, I'm a huge Marshall fan. Yeah, unfortunately, after the JVM 410, I didn't buy any Marshalls anymore for several reasons. But still, the emotion I have for a Marshall when I speak about Marshall is like, look, this is me. How many Marshalls you see there? This was my living room. There's, by the way, this is my Bassman, exactly the Bassman, no? That amp that you can see like next to me, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 Marshalls, 1, 2, 3, 4, no? And the Vox AC30 chassis. So Marshall is very present in my life, in my living room, in my studio, and always has been. So there's a question, Retro Bytes, can you demonstrate a Fender model on the AMPX? Will the EQ and volume controls match the behavior of a real amp? Yes, it will. It's not implemented yet. How will the gain control work on a model that only has a volume control? That's a good question. Well, I can say yes to everything. On how will the gain control work on the model that only has a volume control? The gain will be the volume of that amp, because what happens on the Fender amp is the louder or the more volume you get, the more it will get louder, and then it will get more saturated, because this is when you hit the limit of the power amp stage. So that volume is later on that gain. And the volume on the AMPX is a preset volume to match the volume between the different sounds when you switch from your Fender clean to your whatever overdrive. Okay, let me go back for AMPX, and I will use this here. There's my super reverb. So this is a Fender Super Reverb, my 64 Fender Super Reverb, but played through my Marshall cabinet. So let me see if the gain is the volume. That growl, that Fendery, just a touch of a hair. And that's what makes me so proud. I have that character, you know, it's the power amp stage. It's not just a frequency thing and some kind of saturation. It is that character, and it comes from both the power amp stage, and that's first in my life, and then the preamp stage. And that's what everybody else usually sees differently. They all start from, I have that preamp that sounds like this, or that pedal, and then they play that pedal over their Fender amp. And that's a big difference in my life. It's like, if you play a Marshall sounding pedal over your Fender amp, it might sound similar to a Marshall, but it will never have the balls, because that Marshall here driving the speaker does something totally different than a Fender amp that is brilliant with a pedal that sounds like a Marshall. It will always be a tiny Marshall. Maybe it's a beautiful tiny Marshall, but it's never the monster that a Marshall can be. And there's the beauty of recreating the full amp and the speaker, because that's now possible with this. And that's, if I will discover this and use it to my max, which you can later buy. You will have such a big tone, clean, such a big tone in overdrive, and the different feel for all of that. There's a difference. That's my approach. That is my goal. This is what I'm striving for. And I'm not saying the rest is not cool. It also works, and it makes sense if you have a platform like a Fender amp and there's a clean tone and you dial in the pedal, you can control everything, you can match it, and it's okay. But the moment when I'm finished with this and I'm on stage and you are the other guitar player, I blow you away. Sorry. Just from the tone, maybe you are the better player and you blow me away, also fair enough. You know, there have been people that played a Roland Jazz chorus with overdrive from the Roland Jazz chorus that blows everybody away. That's talent. But I will go to another preset that is called TB Talent Booster, and then I strive back. Anyway, just having fun with it. But this is the sound approach that I have. When we are the question for the next week. Yeah, we have more questions about AMPX next week. When sometimes I go in, I know M1 needs a load. Wait a minute. VTN. You sometimes go AMP1 into DI. I know AMP1 needs a load. No, it does not need a load. It works with a load, but it also works without a load. But isn't the interaction of amp into reactive load important? Yes and no. So what happens with the amp and a load? If the load is a shitty load, like a cheap, we have one at the office, Harley Benton, 60 euros load, then it's a flat resistor, so there is no frequency reaction to the power amp. In that case, you can simply unplug the speaker, and this is the sound you get. So every speaker has an impedance curve, which is a frequency curve, and it's different from speaker, and it's even different when you put the same speaker in a different housing. And that adds some different frequencies into the power amp stage via the so-called current feedback design of the power amp stage, which I'm using, which is also used on tube amps. There is a variation on every tube amp. Some amps have more current feedback, others have less. Some have it differently filtered. There's many options how the amp designer wants the reaction of the circuitry with the speaker. With certain sounds, it's so important that it happens to a max. Other sounds is better that there is not so much interaction. So that's the thing. And now VTN writes the reactive interaction is important. That depends on the tone you're after. And you can get close by EQing it. So instead of using a reactive load, you could use an EQ inserted in the effects loop and try to recreate that curve. You could measure that, you could measure your EQ, you could insert that, and you would come pretty close. That's one way of doing it. You can also try to compensate it with the EQ settings on the AMP1 because it's post, it's kind of what goes to the speaker. So this EQ has this kind of quality that it is a post EQ, post overdrive, so to speak, EQ, and it will affect that. You come close to that thing, but you never get 100%. If you are happy with your reactive load because you have a whatever torpedo or one of those Fryettes power amp, there are some different loads out there because the designer has different reference speakers or sounds in the head, and then you can use it with your AMP1 and you will get the benefit of that EQ curve coming from the load. It's kind of a bit massive, I would say, to have such big electrical components doing such little electrical effects that you can do with different means as well. But hey, if it's there, if you have it, if it works fine for you, if it's exactly what you want, go for it. So there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying there are several options how to get there. Fabio 4, what is this? Did the Fender custom shop ask to replace your guitar, or did they do and didn't even ask? Me and the Fender company is a very strange relationship. I was awarded the European Strat King of Europe in 2004 by Fender Europe, and Fender US was actually telling this guy doesn't go on stage, which is me. And I was there ready to play, and these were the UK guys that wanted me to play there. And I had big pleasure to meet them, blah, blah, blah. But after the competition, being the winner, I was promised to get a 54 Strat. And I got a phone call from Fender saying, the lorry with all the prizes got stolen. We give you an American Standard instead. Weird. Maybe they know me, maybe, I'm sure they know me, and maybe they know my guitar, but they will never get as dirty as mine. So I have to do my own BluGuitar replicas, and they are actually closer to my guitar than Fender Custom Shop. Okay. Similar thing with Marshall and Fender. I love Fender guitars and Marshall amplifiers. I play a Fender guitar, and now I play mainly my own, and one day I will probably play my own BluGuitar replica, which I actually did on the tour as well. And guess what? After a while you get so used to it that you start actually to like it. Problem with this guitar is, since I was 17, I play that particular guitar, so everything here feels home. And to leave home is never a good thing. But my replica is getting so close that they are becoming home. I just have to play them more. So the trick will be, I have to get one of those guitars, give it to somebody else who plays more than I do, and keep up with the speed, and then get the guitar played in. And then, yeah, okay. Actually sounds like a Fender. Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I've done the A-B thing. And this is something, wait for next week, we will have also my AC30 in there. What else? We have a Tweed Deluxe there. A few of my amps that you usually see here, it's sitting in the studio, but they are not here, they are in the R&D currently. And guys, I will not finish this project until I am convinced that you can play it like a Fender. If there says Fender, I will do all the AB stuff in the future, because that's my job. And we have to make blindfold tests so that we know how close it is. And the good thing is, even though if I'm not getting it 100% perfect at first attempt, I already know that with the same amp I can get better when I try another time. It is so complex. It's more about understanding the original amp, how to get close to the original amp, and learn about every fucking little detail in the amp and how it interacts. So at this point, we try to do it, but I'm sure that we are still learning how to use that platform to its benefits, and by our learning curve makes still progress and gets better quality. The good thing is We will never use a soldering iron or anything. And the way this circuitry is designed, it has, from my point of view, hopefully no limits. So another tweaking session will get me there. That's what I wanted. And this is what I spent the last half year, to get that level to the max, to have even more options, to have even more. It will all benefit us in the long term. You don't know yet, but I know, because I've been there. Okay. First time, and yeah, would merchandise more than only t-shirts. Merchandise income. I'm not Kiss. If I would be Kiss, we would have anything. I mean, on the one hand, I love the smartness of Gene Simmons and whoever was involved in Kiss, because they nailed it when it comes to merch. There's this kind of heroes for that, and probably Joe Bonamassa is stepping into the same path. But do you want I don't want to be a Bonamassa toy for whatever. And so I'm not sure if we could make something. Let's see what we are doing. But I don't want to be a marketing company. I just want to make great products. And of course, we have to have some marketing stuff like our t-shirts. They're actually very practical, and they are cool, and I'm proud of them. And I'm wearing the one proud, and I will be wearing the X also proud. But the one is probably the coolest thing. But because even non-guitar player people, it puts a smile on their face. If you talk to ordinary people, they love the one. Even if they don't know what it is, it's a one. And you're the only one, and you are the one, and you are number one, and you are my number one. And if you have two people with one shirts, you are 11. This one goes to 11. These two guys go to 11. Stuff like that. It's fun. And if we have some other cool stuff, we will do it, but I don't want to max that out. Probably do some mugs because everybody does them. And it should be stuff that is actually being used. I'm not into selling stuff that ends up in the trash too early. That's not my philosophy. Fat Cap, wall of speakers, posters to cover the jam room, studio, office. That's actually something I was thinking about, being on stage, how to make the cosmetics, the looks, the optics cool. We will have a problem, or we actually do have a problem already. When you try to go on stage and don't have the traditional Marshall stack Fender combo, and you don't look like one of the guys that, I'm having my vintage amp, and that tells a story. I mean, I have that vintage guitar and that vintage amp, and just by the cosmetics, people understand the world you are living in, and your eyes tell you what to expect, And that's the funny thing. If you watch B.B. King shreds with some notes of Yngwie Malmsteen underneath that, which is so funny because that's kind of the dissonance. You look at B.B. King and you hear Yngwie Malmsteen music, or vice versa. It's so cool but what we need is a visual that is cool. And we have to learn how to deal with that new situation where the gear is not giving you that identification anymore. The wall of sound from a Marshall back from the 80s is a statement. And Kiss just has I've been at KISS shows and I've been behind the stage, and I know the guys. So I know what time it is, and they have like stacks that look like stacks, but they aren't. They are just what's it, decoys, or stuff that looks like the real deal but isn't. And in their case, they even made it more shiny. They had like mirrors on it, so when the light shines on the amps, it really reflects and stuff like that. And in my opinion, we have to think about a future stage look, and I think there's room for maybe like a 3D hologram thing that is even more exciting. And I'm sure in a couple of years people will have something that you can set up like a backdrop that is projecting some kind of 3D magic, and then you can press the button here and you have the full stack, or even the wall of sound with eight full stacks behind you. And then if you press the next button, you have whatever, a nice green countryside or a Fender blues combo or whatnot. That's a bigger topic for not for me. Let me do that thing first. From Kiss condoms to Kiss coffins. Yes, exactly. You got it. Do you think AMPX will be ready for replace the Super Reverb this year? Yeah, at least for me. Okay, it's an amp company, not a lifestyle brand. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, will you have presets for effects for some who doesn't want to tweak and just browse presets? Exactly. I will have presets, and then I will have stomp boxes. And for me, if I have to make a preset with and without, and this amp, or it's getting way too complicated. You would end up in like 10 different presets, or you have, if you just have one effect, you have 5 presets and 1 button. And the stomp box button can be the on or off switch, and then you can decide if the effect is already on in your preset and you switch it off, or vice versa. Things like that. So there will be a stomp box mode that will interact with the presets. And we are working on this, of course. And I totally agree, because as a guitar player, we have a certain way of thinking and working. It's like driving a car. And you get used to some things, and using stomp boxes is something that we all are being used, and that's a different thing from presets. Certain players enjoy the preset ride, and they step through banks and presets for endless top 40 jobs with all the fine little details. Or like myself, I have a few presets and I spice them up with a few pedals, and combinations of that is my personal solution. And there's some options for that, and there will also be some expansion foot switches for that if you need more switches. But with the 2 presets on 1 button, it's already enough for me. I was using this instead of my remote one, which has like 10 foot switches. Here we go. Wait a minute, I just moved that here so we can see that. And by the way, this would also be an option for the future, to have a remote X and this, and then you could have presets here and stomp boxes there, or vice versa, stomp boxes there and a few presets there. But honestly, I personally came from here, went to there with a double preset I got used to it. I'm fine with that. I don't think I have more unless I have too many new toy effects that I want to use with that system. But it's for me to replace my pedal board, this can do it. I've been there. That was one of the results of the tour, to have the confidence this can definitely replace my pedal board with a remote with 10 switches, because I don't even need the 10 switches. I can manage it here easily. Okay. Oh, X never makes a sport. Thomas Flug. Happy. Okay. Had no amps on stage anymore. Yeah. Schärfentiefe. The last tour had no amps. Yeah. That's. It's also a way of how to present your art. Do we need the amps? Yes or no? I mean, if you need the amps, we can separate the topic from being the amps, because we don't want to carry the amps. I tell you, I was never so fast setting up my gear than on this tour, because it's just put the thing in the bag and go, and the cables in my gig bag for the guitar, done. It's 3 cables, a cabinet, done. It's unbelievable. I've never had such an easy life. I even helped the drummer to bring in the drum kits, and because I was so bored, I was dealing with his hardware too. No, it's like it, and they're all getting jealous because it's so easy. Plug in, works. HDO, BluGuitar logo as 3D hologram. Yeah, just over AMPX. Things like that. But yeah, that's a different topic. Yeah, there's a lot of topic here. Who needs merch? Yeah, not the merch. I think I agree to Seitenschuft. It's a little bit is okay, but it should be cool and practical, and not. It suits people like his very much, and it's part of their identity too. I mean, if you are somebody that makes that kind of music, the whole mask and paint job on the faces is you can step into a role, you can hide your own personality, even though those guys have a human personality. I met them and they are pretty nice, actually. I'm a big fan of Gene Simmons. He speaks German, and I have my Gene Simmons story. Cool guy, and Tommy Taylor I know from back in the Houston Kettner days, all super nice, sweet guys. But the whole packaging of their human personalities getting into this, I play a role, that's a different concept of what I do. And the thing is, that actually helped the band Kiss, because they could hide their personalities within, the role that they played. And to sell that role as a merch makes sense, but we are not selling roles. We are selling honest amps with good tones, and then less is more. That's, yeah, a different philosophy. Let's give you a remote. Repeating my previous question, Thomas, at the time, busy with other stuff. Will there be a sensitivity control for the input to avoid causing unwanted transistor overdrive in the input buffer? Yes, yes, and yes, because pickups can be super different from my weak signal coils to active pickups. And you will be shocked when you play your, oh, it sounds just like a Fender, with the wrong guitar, it will sound like a fart. And so the input stage to match the guitar is an important thing. So we have that, yes. And by the way, there is even an impedance that we can dial in to match the impedance of pedals. When you play a certain pedal, that like a range master, it is very low impedance, and that's changing the character of your pickup. And if we would not have that affects your guitar, it would not sound like a range master, because the pickup has to interact with the input stage of that range master, or with the input stage of where you do your plug in now, AMPX. So the AMPX input stage can change a lot, like several different input stages. So I can model, so to speak, different style of input stages, different impedance, different sensitivity. Important, because the guitar interacts with the amp at the front end, just like the speaker with the output stage. And if you don't take this into account, you will have a boring sound, or you will never get there. Kann man die Patches zweimal mit verschiedenen Effekten belegen, wie eine Art Bank? Sheriff 93. Yes, I mean, you can, depending if I understand you right, there's a preset here, and there is a preset there. See, this is my amp super reverb, and there's the same amp with different effects. So if that is what you are doing, kann man die Patches zweimal mit verschiedenen Effekten belegen? Yeah, maybe. So this is like the blue one is always what you get when you hit a button, and then if you press that twice, you go for the second incarnation of that tone. Yeah, from Marshall to Fender. Blah. Okay, hey guys, we're getting more and more questions. Blah, 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 blah. Why? Okay, I skipped that one. Will there be a harmonizer pitch shifter in the future? Maybe. That's something on a wish list. In theory, possible, but we have to finish this first. And this is a 10 years project. No, it will come out with a lot of stuff, and then we go into all the rest. There will be a Rotosphere, or like a Leslie pedal. There will be all my toys, and hopefully one day something like that as well. What's your experience? Yeah, okay, I get that. With noiseless single coils versus your dummy coil. My experience is that I like to have my pickups with a dummy coil for two reasons. First, I can switch off the dummy coil, and I can go 100% authentic to my 61 original pickups with all the complex noise and whatever dynamics they create by being not dampened with anything like noise cancelling or a dummy coil. Because if you have noiseless pickups, it's basically a dummy coil. It's a bit better to have the control, because you can wind the dummy coil inside the pickup or close to the other coil, like a stacked kind of thing. But somehow I never liked the original pickups that have been noiseless. That's my first problem. Second problem is I'm not able to switch them off. So I personally could not find a pickup that I liked, because I have pickups that are too good to me as they are, and therefore I made my custom solution. Which doesn't mean that people can be happy with noiseless pickups. David Gilmour has his own set, noiseless pickups, and if it's good enough for David Gilmour, it should be good enough for you as well. Thomas, can you tell the story of the Pure Tone? Yes, the Pure Tone is an amp that was created at Kettner during a time when I tried to get other amp builders to the Kettner family back in the days. And oh my God, look at me. Young Thomas getting an award for whatever. Yeah. Where's the Pure Tone story? Let me see. That amp is, me and Marshalls. Okay, there's a tri-amp. So the Pure Tone must be close to this. La, 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 la. It's before that, actually, I believe. That was a shitty amp. Anyway, sorry. No, it must be here. So what is the story? The story was quite simple. I came up with the idea of a tri-amp. So that was me and Bernd Schneider with a tri-amp. The amp that sits behind me. Where's us? This side? I don't see it. Ah, here. Top. This. No. This is me. This is Bernd Schneider, who sadly passed away last year. We spent 27 years together, and yeah, also brilliant engineer, absolutely. So, and there were people like Dirk Baltringer here, seen with the duotone, and Dirk has been one of Germany's most famous and advanced Marshall modders. He was modding Marshall amplifiers like crazy, and he has his own taste and his own style. And Dirk, I always highly respected Dirk for what he has been doing. And where's his pedal? It's not here. I have that's. I have anyway. So. And I liked Marshall amps, and I liked Dirk's modification. So my idea was very simple. I told the guys at Kettner, you know what? This guy already improves what Marshall has been building back in the days. And he was a fantastic modification guy for 800s and that kind of, 80s sound. Just like the Jose mod in the States and stuff like that, but his own thing. So slightly different. So, and I simply brought him into the team and said, hey Dirk, let's work together with Bernd Schneider, myself, and build that Pure Tone. A 2-channel amp with a boost, straightforward, great clean tone, great 800 overdrive tone, and more. A simple thing. That is the story. And yeah, still great amps, but if you switch Amp 1 Mercury Edition to Classic, you're pretty much there. So nothing wrong with the good old Kettner amp. And somebody, wait, this was the, I was telling the duotone story. The Pure Tone story is similar because that's Daniel Grössel. Daniel Grössel had like a Class A EL34 amp modification, again coming from Marshall's or his own platform, and I brought him into the team, and it was already there. We made a shortcut and said, why not use something that is already there and work with him and his tonal experience and use that. I was just the guy that picked these guys and brought it to the team and worked with them. So that's the story of the Pure Tone. Oh my God. So more questions we have to finish because my voice, that's almost much reverb, blah, 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 blah. Analog Transistor in der Vorstufe. Was? Givi Moroda. Gut, dass du die Frage nochmal gestellt hast. Es ist zwar analog, aber eben auch Transistor in der Vorstufe. Hey guys, if you are discussing transistor versus tube versus whatever class D, this is all as good as you use it. I think I could prove that I can use transistors and op amps and stuff that I'm using to be at a tube amp level. Maybe some other companies can't do that because they're missing out certain things. But you can use different components to get the same result. But therefore you have to look at the details. And that's, some people have predetermined thinking of transistor is only shit. Well, it is only shit if you are doing something. You can't replace a tube with a transistor and think it's just doing the same thing, because a transistor is a different component and has a different reaction to whatever. And it's not being done by having the same schematics but changing tubes into transistors. That ain't working. So you have to understand what is created by the circuitry of the tubes and what are the effects and the side effects. And then, once you understand it completely, you can recreate the same behavior also with transistors. But make sure that you get everything. If you don't get everything, you're not getting the full quality that you want. And the discussion if transistors are bad and tubes are good, or vice versa, or whatnot, is total bullshit. It's only true if you are looking at the first level. But that's not what we are doing. We are trying to look very, very deep. And that's what... I'm open-minded to anything. Otherwise, I would be still at my stone ages of collecting old tubes, which was a beautiful phase and was very important to get the best out of tube amps. Because in this amp, you better play the right tubes and do the right things to max them out. And it's totally okay. But if I create a new platform, I have to take all the knowledge from what is the sound processing of the tubes and get the sound processing done with different components. And once you understand the sound processing, use different components, different technology, you can get to the same results. As long as you are totally analog. And if you are totally digital, maybe too. But I can still smell and feel and hear the obstacles in the digital world. I'm open for challenges. We will do this, and everybody will do this once the AMPX is out. We'll compare the AMPX versus a digital modeler. And then we can talk again. And I know digital technology will also evolve and get better. But there's always things that will be obstacles in the digital domain which are not in the analog domain. And this is why I chose that. And I have friends who are digital programmers who know that and support my way. and my way of thinking. Okay. Oh, more question. Okay. Blablabla. Givi Moroda. Ja, aber aus 27 Jahren Programmiererfahrung frage ich lieber nach, als hinterher alles wieder umkrempeln zu müssen. If you are a programmer, Givi, maybe you should be a beta tester for us. If you are interested, write me an email. Okay. Wird der MX einen Looper haben und kann man eine Phrase einspielen? Yes, I'm thinking about a looper as well. We have delay features and looper is kind of similar. Yeah, maybe not at the very beginning, but yes. Yeah, JHS has a great episode on transistor amps. Historically, there are some transistor amps that are already impressive in a way, but they've never been as close to tube amps like what we are doing. I'm saying this with a full confident thing because I am so deeply driven by the tube amp sound that I spent decades on trying that tube amp sound from different components than just transistors, than just tubes. And if you want to listen to some old level stuff, listen to some old transistor amps by using QnA, and this is a good starting point. They are not that bad, but they are not like tube amps. That's why back in the days we had to build tube amps, because there is a different thing. But today, with that kind of knowledge with AMP1 and AMPX, I'm so confident it's over. We don't need those nice, great tubes anymore. We don't need them. Other guys need them because they can only cook their recipe as a chap with real tubes, because they know how to deal with real tubes and how to max that out. That's a different quality. That's it's, you know, the sound designer is only as good as he understands his components. It's like a chef, you know. I mean, if you understand how to cook a meal, you know how to deal with your ingredients. Ah ja, häng dein Loop in den Loop und gut. Okay, ich wollte schon Beta-Tester werden. Everybody wants to get beta-testers. At this point, we want a beta-tester who is actually a programmer. I have already 2 people on my list, but if there's some other people around here, I wouldn't actually. I have 2 local guys, but if you are at that kind of level, what helps me at this point, and Julian especially, is guys that understand how software works and that are happy to find bugs, because nobody alone can do that job. Such a unit is so complex, you have to watch it from different ways of operating it, and the more you can approach this from different sides with different people, the better it is. So yeah, that was the comment on Martial Boniu. I had an HK ATX80 with that blue hairs. That was one of the biggest things I was interested to get rid of when I was at using QnA. The blue hairs came from the production side. It was the alternative to Tolex. Let's put it that way. Tolex is the material that is classic, that has been used on suitcases in the 50s and 60s, and therefore people use that on guitar amps. Good thing about that is easy to clean, looks classy, good. But the process of having Tolex, cover something in Tolex and use the glue, it's an art. So Marshall, Fender, all the traditional companies had some experience, but it's not fun to tour like an amp. QnA had that PA side, HK Audio, and they produced cabinets with sprayed on lacquer, and they had the beautiful invention of let's spray on some lacquer with glue and have electrostatic process and kind of getting the electrostatic effect to shoot the hairs. How did you, I think the blue hairs, yeah, into the glue, let them dry, and it's good. Nice in production, but in reality, because the stuff was electrostatic, you put one of those hairy monsters in your rehearsal room, which is not the cleanest place on earth, I bet. Some people might have been smoking back in those times, or the dust. Who vacuums his own rehearsal room every week? Nobody does. So there's tons of dust in the room, and guess what? Those hairy monsters, they suck him up because they are electrostatic. So just like the hairs, all the dust was in these things. And I remember the show when the QnA boss came with a vacuum cleaner and showed us how easy you can vacuum your Atix 80 amp. And I thought, I'm not vacuum any amp. Look at my guitar. So, and then finally I could convince them to go for Tolix. So that was very 80s. HDO, how about FR? It's on my agenda for when this is finished. We have the option of having impulse response on any output. There are 5 outputs: speaker out, line out, left and right, and mains out, and each one can have a different IR or a different blue box, so to speak. So I could do this on the power amp driving a passive FR speaker as well as an active blah blah blah. All the options are there. At this point, I'm not convinced about what the market offers. I believe it's not good enough, but it's a challenge, and I will take that once I'm ready with this. So I think that should be enough for today. Yeah, good luck at NEM, guys. Thank you, Memak, Neiman, whoever that is. I'm very happy you said that, because my mindset is, or my mind is set for NEM next week. Getting more features in there, so we have more to show because it's the NEM show, and we will have a lot of nice conversations with people from the industry and artists, and it's always enriching to have these conversations and coming back with that fresh energy from other people. Maybe it's a discussion, maybe it's just feedback, maybe it's always good. I'm an energy junkie, and I'm happy to go to shows and get feedback, and this is what's going on next week. So guys, stay tuned. Next week we'll be doing a live stream from Los Angeles. Germany, we have the coldest days like right now, minus whatever 5 degrees, and the glatt ice, the frozen ice on the street, black ice. So I'm very happy to escape to sunny California. That's always a good thing, and I'm happy that the NEM show is back in January, because that's the lousiest weather here in Germany, unless you are into skiing and stuff like that, which I'm not, and living in this kind of area of Germany. I don't need the short days and the ice and the snow. It's fine to have it a few days, but I have enough. So see you next week in the sun. Take care, and yeah, all the best. See you at NEM. Cheers. Bye-bye.